But I can't even say I was talking to God about it, but the Holy Spirit brought it to me about the essence of relationships and the different type of relationship that you walk into or run into. And this is what came to my heart. Sometimes relationships can be seasonal. Sometimes relationships can be transactional. And although there's many types of relationships, but those two things I want to focus on, sometimes things happen in relationships that can be painful, but it's never personal. Out of all the things that happen in relationships, out of all the things that maybe come with relationships, as crazy as it sounds, and as hard as you try to investigate, it never ends up being personal. And people's behaviors are a direct correlation to what they're dealing with internally, rather than some type of evidence or criteria or some type of explanation for, or anything that determines your worth or your value or anything about who you are inherently. Like, it has nothing to do with you. Most people's behavior, it has everything to do with what they're dealing with internally. And people struggle. And so there's things that happen in relationships, all types, friendships, family, romantic, your coworkers, every relationship, every association, painful things happen, painful things are said, hurtful things are done. People drop the ball, people betray, people lie, they gossip, they cheat, they steal. And it's never personal. And what we really feel is that it's painful. And we say things like, why me? How could they do this to me? And the reality is it sounds crazy, but they're going to do it the same thing they did to you to someone else. Or before you, they probably were doing that same thing to someone else. Doesn't justify what they did, but the reality is it's not about you. It's not that they just don't like you and that's why they may have cheated on you, lied about you, gossiped about you. It's not about you that they may be envious or jealous of you. Like, that's what they struggle with internally. And that traces back to deep roots in their own life. And I'm saying all this to say because I've found great relief in not taking things personal anymore. Like, I was one of those people, I can honestly say, and I'm saying this because I know it'd be helpful if I'm honest, because I know people struggle with this and they're afraid to say it out loud. I choose to take a lot of things personal. If you walk into the room upset, I'm like, oh, what'd I do? I had to have did or said something, or maybe you have an issue with me, but now, in the place I am in my life now, and because God has healed me in many different areas of my life, I understand that people's behavior is not a reflection of me. It's a reflection of what they're dealing with internally. Hear me, unless some of my struggles have come up and I've genuinely wounded them, like I've affected them, I've triggered them, whatever it is, and then I have to take accountability and responsibility for the fact that, no, they're reacting in this way because of something I did to them. But this is why I want to go in this direction. If you can't understand or believe that things aren't personal in relationships, when hurtful things happen, think about how much you struggle and how you do things sometimes, or you say stuff sometimes, or you act in ways where, as crazy as it sounds, like you getting angry with someone and you lash out on them and you say things you don't really mean, but they're in pain now. Whole time you was just hungry. So because of your hunger, you were a little short in your interaction. So you said something that you didn't really mean. It came off a little wrong. And you think to yourself, dang, I shouldn't have said it like that. I actually really rock with that person. I really love that person. So I could either humble myself and apologize, or I could let them think to themselves, I just genuinely don't like them. I knew somebody that was super anxious, had a lot of anxiety. And because I was young and I didn't know no better and I really cared about them, I just always sought to try to bring them relief. So I used to take their anxiousness or their anxiety personal. So one thing I've learned with anxiety, one of the main signs someone's anxious is irritability. When someone's irritable, or y'all would say maybe moody, you say, oh, like, you got an attitude, like, a lot of situations that could explain them in that moment, but a lot of times people are just anxious. Their mind is so preoccupied with anticipation of something happening in the future that they're concerned or worried about, and sometimes it shows up in them being irritated. And so because I took things personal, I used to be like, dang, like, you must not want to be here with me, maybe, or maybe, you know, did I do something? Did I say something? And that person will, I mean, yo, this was years ago. This person would always say to me, yo, it's not about you. And you making it worse by making it about you. Can you stop doing that? And I'm thinking, like, I'm bugging in, like, so what's up with you? Why are you always in this bad mood? Like, and I just couldn't help but think, maybe it's me. And what I've learned is this. Sometimes, and it sounds hard to hear, but sometimes people are safe enough to allow you to see them at their worst, and they're expecting you to hold it down because they can't wear this vulnerability or be this transparent around no one else. Everyone else, they got to wear a mask. But with you, it's like the last thing they need is for you to start acting like they're not allowed to be themselves. And it doesn't mean this person shouldn't be held accountable for learning their triggers, learning how to communicate themselves. But the best thing I've learned, because I'm the same way, I don't really need no one to make it about them when I'm irritable, I'm going through anything. Like, just be there. Like, just be there. But see, I'm old enough to be able to communicate. That's what I need, and not just leave people guessing. That's a real thing. So what I'm trying to get at is I found relief knowing that when this person was in the mood, it wasn't because of me. I found relief in realizing when this person's irritable, when this person's got attitude, it ain't nothing to do with me. This person is genuinely struggling internally, and they may not have a level of emotional intelligence where they can communicate that. So now there is communication that needs to happen so that you're not in this roller coaster type of communication. Again, I'm referencing something that happened years ago. I was very young. But as the older you become, at work, you recognize the people that get on your nerves the most, they struggle. At home, like I saw this post, it was like, the older you get, when you look at your parents, you recognize they may be older, but they're still struggling with some of their childhood wounds. And so they're reacting, and they're being triggered, and they're doing things that doesn't reflect their age, but it does reflect where they haven't healed. And so if you keep looking at how they act, how they behave, people at home, people at work, or even just romantically, as it correlates to how they see you or view you or feel about you, you will always walk away feeling more less than. You always feel like you just can't please them. You always feel like you got to walk on eggshells around them. And believe it or not, it's not the case. Like, it's never personal. And I want to end with this real fast. Seasons change in relationships. When I said that seasons or relationships can be seasonal, like, I want y'all to think about your friends. Maybe some that you had when you were really young. When they were your whole world. Y'all chilled all the time. Y'all hung out all the time, talked on the phone all the time, linked up every day. And then all of a sudden you got older. You ain't got a job. You ain't went to school. Shoot, you got into a romantic relationship. You may have gotten married. Anything, the things that come with life, seasons change. You're mourning loss. You move away. Some people having kids. Some people got some serious bills. This is the biggest trap I found in friendship, is when you start to grow up and mature, and in the process of being an adult, you take it personal when certain people that you used to be in contact with aren't texting you as frequent, calling you as frequent, reaching out to you, or showing up to events. Hear me. You can text or call them and let them know you miss them. But if they don't communicate or get back to us in a certain amount of time that we would like, it's not personal. People are going through real life. And I've seen people fall in this trap so much. They just so mad because so-and-so don't be around no more. They so upset because so-and-so don't be at the function. So-and-so don't be coming out to eat. So-and-so used to do this, but they don't no more. It's like, before you think it's about you or you get so upset that they don't chill with you no more, ask yourself this one question. Are they okay mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially? I know so many people that sometimes don't have the courage to say, hey, I don't got the bread right now to go out. I could make it personal. I could say, hey, let me think about all the different components on why someone may not be able to follow through with a plan, especially as adults. Life happens. It's not personal, though. Unless someone communicates to you, I genuinely don't like you, even then it's not personal. Because it's something that they may be dealing with internally or just their personal preference. It's because someone else has that thing that they don't like in you, and they're going to treat that same person the same way. It's not personal. And I have found not taking things personally takes a weight off of your shoulders in every aspect of life. And I'm going to end with this. The only thing that's personal in life, from what I'm learning, is your relationship with Jesus. The only thing that's personal, it's 100% personal, is your relationship with God. What God is speaking to you about, that's personal. What God is doing in your life, that is personal. You coming to know him, that is personal. You have a personal walk with God. And he makes it about you. It's very personal to you. He doesn't change in his character and his nature. He loves his people. But it's just like a parent who has children. Like every child needs something different. Same parent, but every child just needs to be spoken to a little differently, catered to a little differently. Each child may need a different level of attention, may need to hear something different, but your walk with God is so personal. And even in that, I have found to bring me great relief. Because even in that, you don't have to care what's happening with so-and-so and so-and-so. What is God doing with your life? Because that's all you have to focus on. So in relationships, it's acceptance. Not taking anything personal. If someone does anything that's hurtful, don't make it personal. That's where we find the most pain. When we're making what people do to us, say to us, act around us personal. We say things like, why me? No, it's not you. This is the truth, and then I'm done. What time are we at? I'm going to say this, and I'm done with this. If someone gossips about people to you, they're going to gossip about you. But watch this, it's not personal. They struggle inwardly. That's who they are. If someone cheats and they're a known cheater, I hate to say it, but if you get into some type of committed relationship with them, they will cheat on you. And it's nothing personal. If someone has an issue with lying, and you're so shocked and upset that they're lying to you, you're causing yourself great pain. It's not personal. They struggle inwardly. Ain't this crazy, yo? And I'll say this, most people are very, very focused on themselves. They are their own world. Like what they call it, you're your own main character. Like that's a fact. Like I always tell people, even when it comes to what they're anxious about, when it comes to how people view them, or if they have flaws or if they have insecurities, I always ask my clients, I say, let me ask you a question. Do people usually notice what you perceive as your flaw when you don't say nothing or after you bring attention to it? AKA, oh my God, don't look, I have something on my face. They always say they usually notice when I bring attention to it. And I say, that's true, because most people are so focused on themselves. Most people are worried about how you see them that they don't have time to focus on what's going on with you. That's how focused people are on themselves. So even when you walk around, especially if you have social anxiety, you think the whole world's staring at you, it's like you can be free knowing no one really cares about you that much. And that should also help with forgiveness. Like if you're ever wrestling with letting something go, giving it back to God with forgiveness, just know that person is not thinking about what they did to you. They're not sitting up all night hurting it. Nope. They forgot about it. So you need to swiftly go to God, ask him for the grace to help you let it go. And stop harboring the anger, because while you're literally being smothered by pain, they're just living their life. So it's very, I'm telling y'all, it brings me great relief knowing that no one really cares about me. I know that sounds wild, but it takes a lot of weight off you. You could be free to be yourself. And when people view you, they're going to view you how it relates to how they see themselves. I always tell people this, and then I'm really done, for sure. If I tell somebody, yo, I really love myself, if they react in a way where that irritates them, makes them jealous, makes them angry, makes them envious, it's because they struggle inwardly. And what they're really saying is, I wish I had that confidence too. But because I can't, all I know to do is be against you. is to hate on you. And because I can't change you, I'll try to change the narrative around you. And I'll tell everybody else, oh, this person's cocky. They're full of themselves. Not being able to understand when you're whole and when you really get to that place where you love yourself, everybody you get around will start loving themselves too. It's contagious. And so I said a lot, but I really wanted the point to be, nothing's personal. I saw this movie. This guy was training this guy to be an assassin. And he literally he came in the room and he started hitting him in all these emotional parts. And then the guy that was being trained, he just reacted in an emotional way and it almost got him killed. He said, see, your emotions got the best of you. And he was trying to teach him how to get his emotions intact. And I don't want to see anybody, especially around me, you guys, or just people that are connected to what God speaks to me about, not realizing they're doing fine until they take something personal. It takes them down a road that they can't even come back from because now they said something they wasn't supposed to say, reacted in a way they weren't supposed to react, and they end up forfeiting the things of God, all because they couldn't see past the fact that, I know this person didn't just say that to me. Oh, I can't believe that nothing's personal. Love people, pray for people, and remember, people struggle, but so do we. And even when we do things that are ugly and can be hurtful to people, we could even say, dang, I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean that. I wish I can go back and erase that. But we slip up sometimes. We do hurtful stuff to people. Because I don't want to sit here and make it seem like everybody else is the problem and not us. Sometimes I'm the problem. And I have to go back and apologize. That's when relationships get dope. When everybody can apologize when they were wrong. Because even though I'm saying nothing's personal, and you shouldn't take it personal, it's just so easy to take it personal. We're humans. God has created us to be sensitive. So it's important. Even all of us, when we do stuff that trigger each other, my bad. I apologize. Even though we need to grow so that we don't take stuff personal, let's also work together to kind of make the process a little smoother so no one has to go home overthinking about a small infraction. See what I'm saying?